Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, live from, what is this, the Hampton Inn here in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm still trying to learn how to say it.
I didn't know this was live.
Well, it's not live. It's live to tape. See, we know this is how this is going to go. This is going to be an absolute slapstick.
Well, good, because I haven't been a guest on Fox and CNN and CNBC. I'm not used to this live stuff. I'm glad this is going to be taped.
The last time you were on YSN, I believe all of your hair was brown, and now it's all gray. So just because you started and you look like when you took over this gig, you were a straight-laced, like everything was good, and now you look like Moses, and ready to part the Red Sea.
Trying to lead the Penguins to the promised land.
What is it about being a pitching coach and the president of the United States that ages you in dog years?
You're not comparing me to that, are you?
No.
Okay, thank you, because I could still speak.
Well, this is gonna
runs
Yeah.
are what do that.
Yeah.
Runs.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, people talk about hitting coaches and head coaches, but as a pitching coach, I mean, you see it at every single level. There's a lot of stress in that position. Talk to me about kind of what goes on in your mind before game day and then going into game day.
You know, the best way that I could describe it is you're like a corner man in boxing half the time. You know, because it's a lot of. I compare pitchers to kickers and punters on the football team. They're specialized, but they're really, really, really important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is stress, but it's a lot of dealing with personalities, and especially in this day and age where everybody's, on Twitter and everything's on YouTube, and you can't really hide. There's a little bit of ego where guys are trying to throw hard and kind of get outside of what they're good at, and what they are each day. I obviously want guys to throw hard and develop, but it's a lot of what do you have today, and let's compete with what you have today. And there's a lot of mental things that go in, and the way baseball is now, kids growing up, they're throwing their slotted 3 innings in their travel ball team, and they're not used to managing through innings and things like that. So there really is a lot of teaching involved. From a stress standpoint, I try to kind of preach what I preach to them is, control what you can control, and don't worry about everything else. And, I've always had my mantra at the end of the day, the shower kind of just gets rid of the day for me. It resets everything. So
Good or bad?
Once I shower, it's washed away, and I'm done. I'm going to go back to the room and watch Practical Jokers. And if I'm at home, I'm going to go home and enjoy my wife and daughter and put her to bed, my daughter, and go from there. But, that really is it takes the stress away. And the older I've gotten, the stress has kind of gone away. That, you can only control what you can, and it's a preparation standpoint. And you have to be realistic and understand what you're dealing with and what part of the season you're in. And, it's kind of my job, again, getting back to the corner man thing, know when to kick somebody, when to hug somebody, and, try to project a little bit of, confidence, or at least non-panic. If you look at me in the dugout, I look comatose half the time, just because I'm trying to have no emotion at all.
With the neck roll.
Yeah, and it with the neck roll, and it's hard for me to concentrate right now because one of the YSN greats, Mark Franken, his son, is making faces at me right now.
Best mustache in the game.
Yes, absolutely. He looks like Lieutenant Dangle.
Does. He's gonna chug some syrup. So you mentioned wife, daughter. You bring a daughter into this world. I mean, how much does that change your game?
It changes everything. It puts wife
Look
too,
at that smile.
but changes everything. Puts everything in perspective. And again, what really is important. And when you're 20 years old, or in my case, 35, before any of that happened, this was life. This was everything.
Yeah.
And, I think it helps from a performance standpoint to kind of free yourself to perform and to fail, putting that perspective on things.
I'm excited knowing you. I mean, you and I, we go back all the way to when this started, and building that relationship in several different ways. But seeing the growth of you not only as a coach, but as a human being, a father, a husband, all that stuff, it's been fun to watch. How do you project that to what? And I'm just going to put it out there, and people can blame me for it. I was a catcher, pitcher. They're all head cases. They're all crazy.
They're
in some
kickers
way.
and punters.
Right. So how do you kind of get them calmed down? How do you play psychiatrist a lot of times on those mound visits?
It's understanding personalities,
Yeah.
and understanding backgrounds for me. You know, we have, there's some guys out there that, we joke, Brandon Anderson and I sometimes have been hat to hat, belly to belly on the mound before, but he's kind of that guy that we've talked, and be willing also after you do that to go up and explain and give a hug, and acknowledge when things are done well and acknowledge that there's standards, but understanding personalities is 100%, and adding perspective and knowing when to do what to do. And sometimes as I've gotten older, the hardest thing is to know when to shut up. You know Young guys, there's not always a drill, there's not always wisdom, and I'd rather not say anything.
Sure.
Excuse me, I hope
Sure.
that gets edited
Going
out.
around? No, it won't. We're leaving that in there.
I'd rather not say something than say the wrong thing sometimes, and it's better to stay quiet and have people think you a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt.
And prove them right. For you, I mean, you've seen pitchers in your program get drafted to go on to the next level, things of that nature. How has that helped you build confidence and build your rapport with some of these guys that are coming in? This is a young group.
Yeah, it's very young and very, very, very talented. I think this is the most depth that we've had. I think there's 5 guys, 6 guys that can go out and get 5, 6 innings. I think there's good talent in the back end, and for us, we've got to perform well at the end of the season. I want to be crescendoing then, but it just gives something attainable. We lost a pitcher a few years ago, actually the year that Matt got drafted, and he said, "I don't think I could get drafted out of Youngstown State." I told him, "Well, you realize I just came from a private workout with a pro scout," and he didn't want to hear me. But to have him and to have guys like him come around, guys that either got drafted or are in pro ball right now, it shows that it can be done and it's attainable. And again, from my perspective, you sometimes lose sight of that. I was fortunate enough; I was in a program that we had that we had 2-3 guys drafted every year. We had a second rounder, a couple guys that played in the big leagues, and you lose sight of how special that is, and you forget that some guys don't always see that, and just to see guys getting drafted and have success in professional baseball shows that it is attainable from where you're at, especially in this day and age of baseball now, where I think we're going to get to where there is parity, a little more parity.
Yeah.
I think there would be more if this were opening weekend instead of 3 weeks ago. But the NCAA, we could have a whole other special episode on that. But just showing that things are attainable.
So one of the things that I appreciate about you most is the fact that you understand what it takes to go from the high school ranks, no matter what division that you play in, at the high school ranks, to playing D1 baseball, and especially here at Youngstown State. For people who may not know or understand, what are some of the things that you tell, like potential, recruits that, hey, this isn't, people say, oh, it's Youngstown State, then you've got the Power 5 and things of that nature. There's not a whole lot of difference there, and you kind of transmit that as we sit here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, the easiest way, and we've been fortunate that we've had good players, and we've had kids from, we have 2 players on our team from Walsh Jesuit, which is one of the best high school programs in the country, that they see that every day. And then, the flip side, and the nice thing is we have guys, I just brought up Chase, from Columbiana. That's, Columbiana is a good program.
Sure is.
But not Walsh Jesuit, playing nationally. So, you get both sides of that, where there is a learning curve for certain guys, and you have a little bit more of patience for understanding the game of baseball. But, being able to go out and compete and just, the best guys every day, no matter who it is, you're gonna face the 3-hitter from a high school, or the leadoff hitter from a high school, or the best, or the shortstop. I think we've got Today we're probably going to start, I'd say, 6 guys that were high school shortstops. Um, including, I'd imagine Jake Gehring played shortstop at some point in
At
his
some point,
career.
you sure do.
And our backup catcher, Trey Pancake, or our second catcher, Trey Pancake. I don't want to say backup.
Played
'cause
every
he's
position.
playing every other day. He played shortstop in high school. It's probably the only guys that never played short at some point are our left-handers. And, certain guys, I wouldn't be shocked if Braden Gebhardt played shortstop at some point. But yeah, and I'm just saying that because at the high school level and club level, that's usually where the best player is, and that's the same on every team. So understanding that portion of it, and the talent gap gets here, and baseball's interesting. Where and why I love baseball. Basketball, football. Basketball. If you've got somebody that's hot, or you've got a better athlete or 2 better athletes than everybody else on the other team, you just keep giving them the ball and you're going to win 99 out of 100. We're dealing at this level with 18 to 22-year-old kids, I guess still with some COVID, 23, 24. By definition, they make mistakes. And, baseball's the only game that you're almost going to win more games based on what the other team does than what you do.
Yeah.
Whoever makes more mistakes is going to lose. And catcher comes up, best catcher in the country comes up and throws a steal into left field. You score a run in the 8th, you're going to win.
Yep.
So limiting mistakes and staying within yourself, and the old cliches that our parents taught us. My father always talked about just make all the routine plays and make one special play, and you've got a shot. Now, defining routine plays sometimes is a little hard, but that's all part of the learning curve.
All right, we got to get to the grub part of this because somebody on this network made a little bit of a joke on the Danny Bertolini Coach's Corner. I don't know who. What's your favorite part of eating on the road? I mean, is it the local scene? Are you one of those guys that you got to have steak and potato? What is it?
It depends. When we're in the South, I need grits.
Okay.
I get
grits.
I'm furious if there's not grits on a breakfast or on a menu. I really like the Low Country boil. Truthfully, I'm not a big fan of the fare in Kentucky. It's
really?
A little bit. It's Kentucky. I'm always worried about health codes and things like that when we're in Kentucky. But that's what I enjoy on the road.
Oh, Shane Davis.
Barbecue's always good.
God Almighty, I love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Thank
man.
you so much for the time. Appreciate you. Let's not make this just a one and done thing. Let's keep this going.
Let's have a weekly set meeting, and I'll get some humor in this, and hopefully you could get me on Fox and Friends or something at some point.
We got it. That's it for this show. We'll be back with Shane Davis later.
The voice of East Palestine.